So let's go back to before you decided to enter marathon.
Yep.
What kind of made you want to? What kind of place were you in before, and what made you take the plunge and sign up?
Yeah. So wasn't not a very healthy guy. I'd have anywhere between 6 and 10 pints an evening. Eat particularly poorly. Definitely more about the kebab life than the salad life. And I worked hard. And sort of run my own business and dad of two boys, and actually looking after myself was not my priority. And I basically started not really thinking too much about it, but my son has been diagnosed as autistic, my oldest son, and my youngest son has since been referred for an autism assessment. And Jake, my eldest, was at a football class and brought my wife over and said, has he got special needs? He's basically not welcome. And I was like furious, as any parent, any person with, a shred of humility would have been really annoyed by that. And I wanted to bury the guy. I was so angry, but it's not the answer, is it? It's not. And I was thinking, well, the answer's got to be raise awareness. I'm going to do something to raise awareness. I'm going to run the marathon, and that was the thought process. And I entered the ballot, and then told Hayley, and she was like, "What the fuck are you doing?" Sorry, is this Channel 4? Is this...
No.
Is it all right?
Yeah.
I didn't know. Is this like...
Mate, you speak as you want.
I feel like Davina McCall's going to come along and tell me not to swear. And I went out for a run the next morning. And as I started, I downloaded Runkeeper. Because in that evening, I'd do all my research to decide what I needed to do. And I downloaded Runkeeper. And the first run was 3K, and I was like, how am I ever going to do that? I mean, I've done Couch to 5K like most of the country did in lockdown, but I hadn't run since. And I was like, I'm going to run that, and I did. I thought, I had another couple of runs, and then my long run on the Sunday was a 10K, and I'm like, how am I going to do that? I've only run 5.
Yeah.
And I did. And carried on. And so then it was 10 miles, and then all of a sudden I wanted to suffer. That was my thing. I wanted to suffer because of Jake and how I think his life was going to pan out. I wanted to suffer, and that was one of the reasons for entering the marathon as well. And all of a sudden, I think I was on mile 6 of a 10-mile run, and it was like running on a cloud. And I was like, "Oh, I can see why people like this." And that was it. I've been hooked ever since, really. It was an amazing thing, and something that I thought I was going to find quite painful. I've had this weird sadistic sort of enjoyment out of it, really.
Yeah. Did you find you suffered?
No. Even though I've had runs that were particularly rough.
Yeah.
Every run was a learning run. Every time I went out, I learned something new about myself, and I'd never regretted any run I went on. One particular one, I know we're skipping way ahead, but one particular one was Lyd, 20 miles, and I got my prep all wrong, I got my nutrition wrong, and I played golf the day before, so anything I was eating I'd burnt. And honestly, it was like purgatory. There's no one there. It was a 10 mile out, 10 mile back. There was only like 4 sheep just to laugh at you as you were going round. And it was blowing a hoolie. It was just grim. But I finished, and I was able to reflect on what I did wrong, and made sure that I didn't make the same mistake on marathon weekend.
Yeah.
So yeah, I didn't suffer at all really, which sort of goes against what I wanted to do. But more I've learned about autism and stuff, it's not a debilitation, it's like a superpower. So whilst I didn't know too much about it at the time, you know, suffering Jake's not going to suffer. You know, he's got a superpower, he's got something that I haven't got and a lot of people haven't. So I'm not as worried about it as I was really at the time.
So what did the challenge of a marathon give you?
Gave me a huge focus, something that I've not really had a major focus on myself. All my focuses have been around the family and what I can provide for them. And in the end, it gave me a hobby. Like, I'm a golf pro, so I took up golf, you know, as a young lad. And then at 18, I turned pro, and that was it. I no longer had a hobby. And actually, my hobby became cooking, which you would think would be a good thing, right? But I learned how to make takeaway curries and Chinese food and all those things that were a bit, you know, weren't good for you and stuff. And then, as I say, running soon became that hobby, and it became a focus. It became almost an obsession. I'm listening to running audiobooks now. I'm looking forward to my next run. I'm thinking, I'm working my diary around to make sure I get my runs in, and you know, so my evening sessions in the summer, for example, that I used to, when I was coaching people, I'd make sure that 2 of those evenings were blocked out so I can go for a run rather than work every night until 7 o'clock or 8 o'clock or something. Yeah. You know, it gave me a sense of enjoyment, a sense of, you know, headspace that I'd never really had before. It was always work and not much play, really.
Yeah.
And it gave me something to focus on that I haven't had for a very, very long time, you know. So I owe a lot for it, really. I do owe a lot for it.
So apart from the kind of physical aspect, it gave you, you know, kind of a mental focus, bit of headspace.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, the physical side is plain for a lot of people to see. You know, I'm 4.5, 5 stone down from when I started running, and it's quite obvious what's happened. But for me, it's rather than going home and cracking home a pint if you had a bad day, you'd go out and have a quick blast running up a hill or something. And you might not enjoy it at the time. You might think, what am I doing this for? It might be chucking it down with rain. But when you get back, you know, from a training run, I've never come back and thought, I wish I hadn't bothered. You know, because I always feel better from doing it. The sense of almost elation and self-pride you get from doing a particularly hard interval or, you know, your longest run to date or whatever it may be. It's it's amazing, really. Absolutely amazing. They say it's nearly a year to the day that I decided to start this journey, and I'm still going. You know, I'm still going. I thought it was only going to be sort of 20 weeks.
Yeah.
20 weeks, 24 weeks, and then I'll never run again. But that's it. Hooked on it.
And obviously, there was a point where you got in contact and we kind of started working together.
Yeah.
What made you reach out?
I mean, obviously, we went to school together, right? Different years, you know, different social groups, but our sisters were good friends, right?
Yeah.
And I saw that you were a running coach and you come up on my feed during lockdown. And you just posed a question about, has anyone found doing a plan, like an online plan or whatever, how people finding it? And I said, I'm doing Catch the 5K. I thought it was great. And it was. There's no doubt about it. It took a lumbering oath to get off the chair and go out and run for half an hour and then run 5K and stuff. It was a really good system, and that was our first contact, right? Mm-hmm. And then I started this Runkeeper, and I was following the program, but you come up on my feed and you're talking about how personalised coaching and being a little bit more, giving a lot more information, not so much about the training, but the other bits that go with trying to train for a marathon, nutrition advice, best gels or running shoes. I mean, it got to a point, I think I went to a very well-known running shop, which I won't name the brand, and I got fitted for a pair of running shoes, and I think after we got to about sort of 12 miles or something, I spoke to you and said I'm in pieces, like my feet are knackered, like, and my knees were hurting me and my hips were hurting me, and you recommended a running shop in Tunbridge Wells, and I went there and they said, yeah, you've got a great pair of shoes, they're not for you. And I'm thinking, well, that was 160 quid that I didn't need to spend in the first place. And that's where your service became worth its weight in gold, because actually I wasn't wasting money. Every time I was making a decision on buying gels or any kind of running equipment I would need, I was able to talk to you first. It saved me time doing research. It saved me fortunes in mispurchasing, right? So it was worth its weight in gold, for sure. Absolutely worth its weight in gold.
I guess, yeah, you kind of answered the next question, which was, what did that help give you? How did it change things?
Yeah, I mean, as I say, I think when you've got a structured bit of a structured plan, if you miss a run for whatever reason, you'd want to make it up, and then the risk of injury become greater and stuff. Where you're very very liberal in the fact that you just go, no, like, don't worry about it. Draw a line under it. Move on to the next phase. If you've missed it, you've missed it. If you missed it for any particular reason, whether it's work or what have you, it happens, right? But get on the bike or do something else just to give your legs a spin, but don't try and do an easy run followed by an interval, followed by another easy, followed by your long run in 4 days, just because that's all you've got left for your week. Just miss it and hop back on it when you can. Mm-hmm. That kind of advice you don't get from an automated generated running plan. One of the biggest assets biggest high points that you were able to provide is when I had a hip injury. So I'm 8 weeks out from the marathon. I've limped through a half marathon. I've limped through a 20 miler, and then I've said, and I've had to admit to myself, I went, I'm hurt. My hip was giving me so much grief. I don't know what had sort of caused it. I think it was an overstretch. I've been to physio on a number of occasions, and I'm panicking. I'm panicking at this stage because we'd raised an amazing amount of money for charity. I was thinking, I might not be able to run this. What's going to happen? I can't. I was terrified, and you were able to go, look, right, take some time off. You don't worry about it. You've broken the back of training. You've done your 20 miles. It's the longest run you're going to do. Get on the bike, do some strength training, do what you can, but don't run, which was so alien. I wouldn't have done that, if it wasn't for your advice and stuff. And yeah, it got me through it. I did go to see it, go for acupuncture because I was desperate. I didn't believe in it, to be honest. I lived in China for 5 years, and I thought Asian medicine was just hokum really. But I was desperate, and a guy said to me, "Go and have acupuncture," and I did, and it's amazing how that stuff worked. I don't really want to know how it works because I don't want to take the magic away.
Yeah.
But we were able to get back running, and that made made a huge difference, obviously, in the build up to the race itself.
Yeah.
So.
From a personal perspective, as like a coach, when I see a lot of people get wrong is that if they're following a standard plan they've got off the internet, if they miss a week or 2 weeks, they'll then just go to where the plan is.
Yeah.
So if they miss, say, 2 longer runs and then the next run, so they did say like a 10 miler, they've missed 2 sets of long runs and then the next is like 15 miles and just go straight into 15 miles.
Yeah.
And that's often where, when coming back from that injury, that they're doing that, huge overload again will cause more issues.
Yeah.
Is that something that if you think back now, do you think that you would have been similar? If you'd taken 2 weeks out, would you have...
Yeah, definitely, because...
Just jumped to where the plan,
Yeah.
carried on,
Yeah, 100%. I think I even did it when I was on Runkeeper. Like, I think we had a social do on a Saturday, and I may have been feeling a bit worse for wear on a Sunday. I can't really imagine why. And I missed a long run, so I think I went from 10k to 10 miles. Basically, I think that was the thing. I think it was 10k, 13k, 16k. And I missed the 13k, and I've added 4 miles to my run, and I did it.
Yeah.
But through injury, I mean, that would have been a disaster.
Yeah.
It was lucky that I was not really, I didn't understand really how hard to work. Mm-hmm. That's probably another thing that you gave me, is you sort of maybe understand it. I know what easy is, but what's hard, what's medium.
Yeah.
Because I was running out there and it was taking me quite some time to do those distances, and you're like, okay, so we know what easy is, let's work out what you can go faster than that, you can do more than that. But yeah, if I'd been training like I am now and probably had missed that week and come out of injury, I'd have just compounded it for sure. And that's where you need the expertise. You need someone to be able to make those decisions for you, so you don't second guess yourself for a start, and make sure that you're doing the best for you and making sure you're not going to make anything worse.
Yeah.
Because we all make mistakes in life, right?
Yeah.
So having someone to be able to guide you through it is almost paramount, especially as a new runner. And I am a new runner. Even now, I would still class myself as a new runner. So you need to have someone who's done it, who's worked with people who have done it or are doing it, and get the best out of it, for sure.
What was your high point during the process?
High point. During the process, one of the best things was I went out for a 5k run on Christmas Day morning, and my goal was to get back in time to base a turkey, and I may have only been I think I was about a minute late or something, or what I could have done, but it was the first time in that process I really thought, I'm different. I'm not the same guy anymore. I'm not that guy that's 10 pints on a Saturday. I'm a 10k on a Sunday guy now.
Yeah.
Or 10 miles on a Sunday or something. And that was the point in my life where I really thought, yeah, this could be me. This is the new me. And that was huge. The best point in the whole thing was the race itself. And it didn't go to plan, let's be honest, because I didn't know what the plan was. I had an idea in my mind, and I'd been caught up in paranoia about times and all sorts, but I've been running along, and I'd seen my dad a couple of times looking for us and stuff. And then at mile 19, my family were at the side. My boy was there with a "Go Daddy Go" thing, and that was just brilliant. So hard to get going again after that. Yeah, very emotional. But yeah, I remember sort of really struggling, hit the wall, and I hit that 20-mile mark, and I was like, "Dave, you've got 10k to go. You do 10ks all the time. Like, just get going." And I did, but it was definitely that the emotion of the day was you know, I can't even put it into words. I suppose if you're doing it for a reason, for a why, you're going to have those things through the day. But yeah, I wouldn't have changed anything for the world on that day, for sure.
Epic. I was going to say biggest low, but I'm probably going to rephrase it and say biggest kind of learning point throughout the process.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, there was the learning point was sort of the grit and determination, finding something inside you that you don't think you've got. That was huge. The low was the injury, but it would have been a damn sight lower if you weren't guiding me through that process. You know, in the old days, I'd have been back on the booze. It'd have been, without a shadow of a doubt, I'd have been back on the booze, trying to numb the feelings of failure. You know, my body was failing me at that moment in time and stuff, and you were able to guide me through that. Again, I suppose you can say that's a learning point as well, right? So, coping mechanisms, grit, determination, finding that fire inside you that you don't think's there. But it's been, I'll be honest with you, I'm really struggling to find any real low points in the whole process. Do you know what I mean? I'm really having to dig deep to find anything, because the whole thing was a real pleasure. Yeah. For sure. But learning about nutrition was huge. You know, I think all you have to do is look at Facebook memories for me, and you can see my body change shape, ballooning up, slimming down. I think I got to 14 stone at one point, which I'm 17 now, and 14 stone I look really quite poorly, but I don't think I touched a starchy carb for a year, and wondered why I felt crap, you know, and stuff. And actually it was quite liberal to be looking at my diet but thinking, I'm going to have pasta tonight, I'm going to have spuds, I'm going to have all those things I sort of refrained from having when I was trying to lose weight, but because I was treating it as fuel. It's not, you know, food, you know, that sort of stuff is fuel for you, and it keeps you going. As soon as you take that away, running's hard, exercise hard, and life's hard, right? Getting through a day is hard. So it was having a healthy relationship with food. Certainly was a big learning point for me.
What has kind of competing or what has running a marathon kind of done for you now? Like, how has it impacted work life, yourself?
Yeah,
you know,
it's been life changing. You know, so I entered the ballot for next year's marathon before I'd run the marathon. I'd done it I think I entered it on the Saturday, and it was running on the Sunday. And, you know, I entered half marathon in September, and I had all these plans in place. I wanted to keep going, and it's inspired. I mean, it's weird because I don't think of myself as inspiring at all, but all of a sudden I've had people come up to me at the golf club, like big guys. I mean, I've just started Catch the 5K. And I'm like, no way, that's amazing. And they say to me, like, you know, well, I saw you do it, and I thought, I can do it. I mean, I didn't want to be offended at the time because I thought if he can do it, I can do it. But it wasn't even that. It was like, oh my God, I've inspired people to make a change. And a guy literally last week came up to me and said, I've just done my first 5K. And it was just amazing to think I was able to be a part of that journey for them, really. Yeah, it's. I think having this new life in and around running, all of a sudden you meet new people and you have different conversations. You're not just talking about golf, or did you watch the golf on the telly last night, and the answer to that is no, I haven't. Now we can talk about, did you find any new running routes, or how did you get on, or have you entered any races? And with all these other people that have been in my life before, they've always been in there, since I've been working, but then all of a sudden we start talking about different things. And yeah, running it's sort of shaped my life, and Hayley's, found a new passion for fitness as well, and the family are just getting healthier, and we're planning trips away surrounding a run or something which would just have been alien.
Yeah.
Would have been absolutely alien 13 months ago, let's say.
Yeah.
So
yeah, the effect that running has had on confidence and things outside of kind of physical. Obviously, you talked about home life as well and how it's improved that.
Yeah. I say I don't feel invincible, but I certainly feel like I'd give everything a go. It doesn't frighten me to try anything new. So next year, we're I've entered a 50k in Scotland, which is a trail run. I've never run off road before, but I'm going to give it a go. I think I just want to test myself. I just want to see, can I do it? It's not about what time do I want to do it in, or anything like that. It's like, can I just run that distance, or can I complete that distance? I feel way more confident than I ever was. Been more body confident, obviously. That's just a byproduct of losing that weight, but more confident in being able to take on challenges that I didn't think I was ever capable of doing. To barely be able to run 5k and then run a marathon just shows that what a human body can do. And it's not just mine or anybody else's. We're incredible specimens, the human race, and we can do way more than we ever give ourselves credit for. So I just want to keep pushing that and see how far I can go.
Nice. Sure. Thank you very much, mate.
All right, cheers, bud. Cheers, mate.
All done.